Hey, hey. So, this episode is a deep, vulnerable share, and I'm sharing something that happened with me because I know this can be supportive to you. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I tend to be pretty transparent and I share some of the parts in my life that can be a struggle, challenge, and the triumphs and everything in between. And I try to be as upfront and honest as I can possibly be. And when it comes to dating and relationships and our hearts, it's a big deal. And let's face it, it can be really vulnerable when things go sideways. So sit back, relax, get a cup of tea, and maybe a notebook. And more than anything, I just invite you to listen with your heart, not necessarily your head, and see what I'm going to how what I'm going to share with you can support you in the dating and relationship realm because sometimes people don't want you. They decide you're not their person. And that just happened to me. So, in fact, it happened a handful of times in a row. And okay, let me go back. So, about a year or so ago, I decided to start dating, and I wasn't ready. I had been in a long term relationship, and a lot of it, I would say, was a COVID relationship. And I decided he wasn't my long term person. It was a very special relationship, but he wasn't my person. And then I started dating about a year ago. And again, I was like, you know what? I still have some unpacking to do and reflecting to do and some healing to do, and to get really connected to my heart and where I'm at now and what kind of partner do I want to call in. I wanted to fine tune. And let me tell you the great news first, which is now that I have put the stake in the ground and said, I am ready for my partner, I'm meeting extraordinary men. Yes, there are extraordinary men out there and online. All right. So let me just say that I am meeting some special, special guys, special, conscious, grounded, put together guys that I've really enjoyed. And so I started dating and I started really dating, not just diving into the first person, which was my history in the past, and also allowing myself to go for the ride and give them a little bit more leeway, unless there's a red flag. I mean, if you've followed me, you know that I don't even go on a date in person unless they've jumped through a few hoops of discernment. Um, and that's for another podcast for another day. But for this one, I want to share with you the ouch I experienced and how I navigated it. And it's an interesting thing because one after the other, every single guy that I was dating, and I'm talking about two two dates, 3 dates. It's not like a big committed relationship, but I was having a few dates with these guys, and and I knew pretty soon out the gate, I'm not so sure about this guy. And right before I got their text or their phone call, because I did, each and every one of them reached out to me to give me what I was going to tell them. I literally was about to reach out to them and send them a text if it was just one date. That's how I fly. It's like one date, I'm comfortable with sending a text saying something like, I really enjoyed our time. I think you're a great guy. I'm not feeling the romantic connection or the long-term path together. And thank you for hanging with me. I wish you well. So that's kind of what I say. So you can do that as well. Or sometimes I'll get on the phone. Well, these guys didn't even they did it before me. And it's because I was leaning back a little bit more than I usually do, giving them a little bit more like, let's just see how this plays out. And yeah, I was a little bit more in my curiosity because these four guys, as great as they were very different than my typical type. And what was interesting was with each of those guys, with me knowing at that point, I need to text them or call them to tell them this isn't for me. I knew they weren't for me. I still felt like I had a gut punch. Interesting, huh? I knew they weren't for me. And yet, when they said what they said, and they all were very beautiful, very conscious guys, sharing similarly about their enjoyment with me and that they weren't feeling the fit in their own words. Very nice, very nicely done. Even though I wasn't that into them either, I still felt some pain. At first, my first thought was, awesome. I don't have to be the one to tell them. That was actually really nice. In fact, I kind of giggled. I'm like, whoa, this is refreshing. And how refreshing that I'm getting all these responsible guys that aren't just ghosting because they don't have the confidence or the responsibility or respect to just own up to it's not a fit. What I noticed though was after the wow, good, I don't have to do the text, was some sadness that bubbled up in me. Let's be real. Rejection is rejection, even if you weren't into it. So I wasn't into it, but I got to know. I got a message from them. I don't want you. And that's an old message that lives inside of me for lots of different reasons. And as I'm sharing this, think about different times in your life where you felt rejected or not wanted or abandoned. My dad died when I was 14. Talk about huge abandonment issues. One of my dearest boyfriends killed himself in my 20s. Talk about deep loss and abandonment issue. One of my greatest loves died a few years ago. I mean, that's not necessarily rejection, but loss is loss. And couple that with I don't want you energy, I was feeling some feels. But here's the good news. The good news is it didn't last. It didn't last. Maybe an hour, maybe a day, not more than that. And yeah, one of them, I definitely felt the loss because I started thinking, could I be with this person? You know, we're coming from such a different life, different experience. I really questioned it, and most of me knew. And one of the things I know is if I don't wake up thrilled that this person's in my life, if I don't wake up excited to talk to them and look forward to seeing them, that is a friggin' red flag right there. And yes, sometimes things take time to develop. However, that was true for all of these guys. I was enjoying them. I looked forward to seeing them. It was nice to have someone to do things with. Sound familiar? We all want that, right? Someone to share our life with, someone that we're compatible with, someone that has similar values and see things similarly as well. Well, I was on a different page with pretty much all of them. And yet, here I was feeling the loss, the sadness. And so I sat with it. I didn't shove cookies in my mouth, which is why I was 200 pounds 20 years ago. I didn't Netflix away the day. I acknowledged that there was a part of me, a little girl inside of me that was hurting. And that little girl needed attention. If you see a kid fall on the ground and there's no one like mom or dad isn't there to pick that kid up, you're not going to walk by the kid. You're not going to avoid the kid. I mean, you wouldn't, right? You would pick that kid up or go over to the kid and go, oh, are you okay? How can I help you? You know, like, come on, let's brush that off. Come on, you know, I got you. You know, where's mom and dad? You would be supportive and loving. Do we do that to ourselves? I know I didn't in the past. I avoided it. That little girl that was hurting, I didn't want to know her. I didn't want to feel the pain. I wanted to jump to the next guy or the next thing. Does this make sense? I'm sure it does. I'm sure it resonates in some way because that's what we do. Overall, we do avoid a lot of the pain because that's how we're wired, unless we've learned that avoiding the pain creates more pain. And if you're following me and you're listening to me, you know that's what I teach. You know that that's what this is about. This is about looking at your shit head on, not with blinders. Because if you put on the blinders, you're going to have the same experiences over and over, or you're going to give up on dating. And that's what a lot of people come to me with. They're like, I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. I have a great life, but I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. And yet, this dating sucks and rejection sucks and it's hurting me. Well, what if you could take care of that little girl and listen to her when the guy says no thank you, or the guy ghosts you, or the guy doesn't swipe back when you swiped? I mean, there's so many things in dating, and it is a roller coaster, but it doesn't have to be one of those big, huge roller coasters like the ones that take your breath away and your heart is in your stomach. You could be on a baby roller coaster. Seriously, dating and starting relationships doesn't have to be this huge ride of intensity. And yes, relationships can have intensity. What I offer to you is, as I am walking the path with you in the dating and relationship realm, I am noticing, firstly, I'm having extreme success meeting awesome guys. And trust me when I say no more than I say yes. And I go on less dates than I used to in the past because of the discernment that I have, because I know myself so well, because I'm not going to give myself away or abandon my truth because I want someone to share my life with. I've got a great life. So firstly, create a great life. If you don't love your life, that's where you and I need to start. Like, what is it that you need? And before I forget, because I know I'm going to forget, excuse me, my love-a-thon is coming up. If you haven't attended the love-a-thon, it's a free event. It's coming up really soon. I'll put the link in the notes here. And it's a 5-day event where we look at this. What are the patterns that you keep creating and recreating? Why is that little girl suffering and you have some patterns that don't serve you? How do you take care of that little girl so she feels safe and heard and supported? How do you rise up into what it is that you dream, or even to be able to dream? How do you own that sovereign self of your desires and be able to own that worthiness inside of you? Maybe you struggle with your worthiness or your not good enoughness, because that's also a thing at this age. So we're going to be covering a lot of that in the love-a-thon. I'm not going to tell you more about the love-a-thon other than it's coming up, and we will support you so that you can open up your heart more safely and be able to do this dating journey on your terms without it feeling like a full-time job and painful. And with that said, like I said, I had pain. I wasn't devoid of the pain. I had pain. It just wasn't like it used to be. Instead of it taking me out and me suffering, it had me curious. Why am I feeling this if I wasn't into them either? Excuse me. So the curiosity, which led me to, well, I'm feeling lost. I had somebody to play with. I had somebody to do things with. Oh gosh, I wish I had some more water. Hold on. Excuse me. So I had some pain, but it wasn't like someone just cut off my arm. It was more like a mosquito bite. And who likes mosquito bites? It's still annoying. It's still uncomfortable. We still might want to put some ice on it, or an onion, I think people say. But bottom line is, I noticed it and I listened to that little girl and I gave her a hug and I allowed her to cry and I allowed her to feel. And then I gave her a pep talk to say, good for you. Because, sister, it takes so much courage to open up your heart. It takes so much courage to say, I would love to have a partner and I'm willing to put some effort into this. And when I say it takes courage, the definition of courage, and I'm not going to nail it for sure, but it's, if you have fear about things, it's acting in spite of your fear. It's doing it anyway. That's courage. Doesn't mean you don't have fear or discomfort. It's about stepping up to the plate even though you're scared. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have the inner tools and these things happen, it's not surprising that you're going to say, I'm done. I don't want this. I'm done with relationships. I like my life the way it is, or it's good enough. And that is a choice. And there's a lot of women that are choosing to have solo paths. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's a conscious choice. And it's not because you're scared. And it's not because you're giving up. It's because it's a choice. And again, that's another topic for another day. I had a client reach out to me. Well, actually, she didn't reach out to me. I saw that she just got married on Facebook. And I reached out to her and I texted her with, congratulations. And I asked her, did I help in any way? Because it's been a couple of years since she went through my program. And she said, absolutely. She said, before I came into your program, I gave up on relationships. I was so done. And she was trying to fit in to other people's expectations, trying to be everything for everyone, and couldn't love herself and just relax into being who she is, and trusting that that was more than enough. And so she did work with me, and she said, that's what helped me. I learned that I was more than enough and that I can ask for my needs to be met. And I learned how to self-soothe. And then I met this guy about a year or so. So a little after, maybe about a year after we worked together, and she was in the dating realm, she met this guy, and now she's married, and he's her person, and he accepts her flaws and all. And guess what? If you don't accept all your flaws, if you can't, and my book behind me, the title is Loving the Whole Package. If you can't love all of who you are, how is anyone else going to? Because you're not gonna believe it if it comes at you. If they say, I love you and I accept you for who you are, and you hate certain parts of yourself, like your body, where you shame yourself, or maybe you over control sometimes, or make a mistake, or whatever it is that sometimes throws you off, you're going to go down that rabbit hole no matter who you're with, and potentially blow up your relationship, because that's what happens when you don't do the inner work. So I stand strongly for inner work, because putting yourself on a dating app without having unpacked the past and really coming home to your inner soulmate and knowing how valuable and precious you are, and how to take care of yourself when you get rejected and have some no's, you got to do the work. You have to. Otherwise, it is a fucking painful journey putting yourself out there, especially online, because more people are not going to be your person than your person. And it takes a while to find your person. Some people are really lucky. It's amazing. Some people, the stars line up soon out the gate, and there they are. And most of us, it's in divine timing, and we have our journey. And whether you believe in divine timing or tarot cards or astrology or whatever, the numbers game, I offer to you that if you truly want healthy partnership, it starts with you being healthy and upping your love vibe and confidence, and knowing your worthiness, and shining your light and enjoying the journey, enjoying your life, whether you have a partner or not, because that's when you will find your person. And so I haven't found my person yet. At least I don't think so, because I'm talking to a couple of guys right now. Time will tell. Bottom line is I am not going to settle, because my life is too precious. And I love relationship, and I really want someone to share it with. So I took care of my little girl, and she's back out there soon, out after the ouch, 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 ouch. It really was funny. 4 in a row. 4 in a row that I was not signing up for either. And I hope this podcast keeps you in this place of possibility and hope, and that you really truly can do this dating journey without too much pain. Sometimes there's some discomfort, and sometimes you need to track why you're feeling what you're feeling, because the reality is you've had heartache, you've had heartbreak, you've had betrayal, you've had abandonment, you've had loss. You've had challenging relationships. You've had dead relationships. I mean, the list goes on. So you've had experiences, and so much more than that has shaped who you are. And all of that is going to play out in relationship. So start with yourself. And if I can help you, it would be my total honor. There's a link in below to join the Loveathon. I would absolutely love to support you in that week. It's about an hour a day. And you're going to learn a ton about yourself. And it's so much fun. We're going to have so many laughs. And the women that come to this event, oh my God, you all fall in love. I've done this 7 times. And this one is going to be even better than before because I'm just adding more in, and I would love to do it with you. So don't give up on love. Don't give up on yourself. Be really, really gentle with yourself. And if you found value with this podcast today, and you know of a sister that might be giving up on love too, or challenged with the whole dating realm and is hating it and wondering if she should continue, please share it and like and subscribe to my station. And that's all I got for now. Mwah. One more thing before you go. Have you taken my Discover Your Love Avatar quiz? It's a 2-minute quiz that can help you not only know your strengths, your superpower, because you have one, also identify some of your blind spots, some of the things that might be having you in your fear, having you behaving in ways that aren't in alignment with your highest self, the way you want to be when it comes to dating and relationships. And it'll also help you discover why maybe the stars haven't lined up for you yet. Bottom line is, you take this 2-minute quiz, you get a full report in your email with details on how to move forward in next level love, whether you want a partner or not. So you can go to midlifeloveoutloud.com/love quiz. The link is in the show notes as well. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the station, I'm going to encourage you to do that too, so you don't miss any episodes. And I hope you got a ton out of today's. See you next week. Mwah.